ERA stops Baluta works after the sea turns milky white. FK&K CEO suspends himself from Ornis committee following a physical attack, and Malta will not be inviting Vladimir Putin to address its parliament. All this and more on Lovin Daily. Good evening, Malta and Gozo. Johnathan, Cilia here, joined by Sasha, Vella. Today we've got some big stories to break down for you, as well as some developments on some other ongoing stories. So let's just jump right into today's top story. You might have seen, video on our Instagram page, but basically the sea near two restaurants in Baluta Bay turned milky white as silt was let into the sea, unfortunately. So ERA inspectors actually had to step in and stop the construction works, as well as administer a fine to the people in question behind the works. So like I said, if you haven't seen the video, I do urge you to go see it on Instagram. You will see that the sea around the restaurants Piccolo Padre and Barracuda in that corner became milky white as the silt escaped into the sea. And this is because the operator failed to install an effective measure. This is far from the first time that we've had, stories emerging from the construction near Piccolo Padre and Barracuda. I mean, if you remember just a few weeks back, their scaffolding was filmed as it was swaying precariously in the wind. So I do really wonder what the developer is doing there, whether they are just another cowboy who just don't care about the rules, or if it's just a series of unfortunate events. Either way, we will definitely be following what's going on near Piccolo Padre and Barracuda, and hats off to ERA for actually stepping in here and halting the work.
Yeah, I mean, this is not the first time that this particular construction site has had issues in the past. Back in January, illegal works that were being carried out without a permit had to be stopped by authorities. And as my colleague mentioned, just a week and a half ago, an unsecured scaffolding structure made headlines after it almost collapsed, also posing a great danger to passers-by. I'd say it's high time that our country begins to take these matters more seriously before more people die. And now on to the ongoing saga of hunting in Malta. FK&K CEO Lino Farrugia had to suspend himself from the Ornis committee after allegedly physically attacking the head of the World Wild Birds Regulation Unit, Richard Cilia. The attack happened yesterday, with Farrugia suspending himself from the committee shortly afterwards. This was a government meeting, and this kind of behavior is unacceptable in my opinion. And I do hope that moving forward, we don't see any more of these, this chest beating and start pulling the same rope on these issues.
Oh, absolutely agreed. Following up from this incident that occurred yesterday, Lovin Malta reached out to the Gozo ministry to kind of get a sense of whether they condemn the attack or what their reaction to it is. Now, without mentioning FK&K, without mentioning Lino Farrugia or anyone in particular, they said that they do condemn any abuse, and that their message is very clear. However, whether that means on the incident that happened yesterday or otherwise, we have yet to see. I'm happy to see that Lino Farrugia did suspend himself from the Ornis committee. I do hope he understands that the way he held himself is not acceptable, especially when you're dealing with people who disagree with you, which is what happens in a democratic society, especially if you're dealing with rules, regulations, and laws. You can expect to be facing people who you don't necessarily agree with. What's important is that you find a way forward, a compromise if it is needed, to make sure that rules and laws are set out that's favorable to all parties. So we'll definitely be following up to this. And once again, if you are in a meeting, try not to be aggressive. It's not going to end well for anybody. Moving on to the next story. After Ukrainian President Zelensky addressed the Maltese parliament this week, many people were wondering, will we be extending the same kind of invitation to the Russian president, Vladimir Putin? Of course, Malta's constitution states that Malta must be neutral, and there's a lot of discussion about neutrality on social media since Zelensky's address. However, Lovin Malta reached out to Foreign Affairs Minister Ian Borg to see if we are inviting Putin, and it seems like we will not be seeing Putin in Maltese parliament anytime soon. Ian Borg was very clear. He said, listen, Malta has been, quote, consistent in its strong condemnation of the unprovoked attacks on Ukraine. So he has made it very clear that Malta is condemning that. And he went on to say that, quote, being neutral does not mean that we are silent, blind and deaf to the suffering of the Ukrainian people. So it seems like, Malta is kind of making it clear that we do support Ukraine. I mean, I think inviting Zelensky to address the parliament made it very clear. However, neutrality does not mean that Putin will be given the same invitation.
Yeah, I mean, during his speech to MPs on Tuesday, Zelensky urged the nation to ban Malta-flagged vessels from transporting Russian oil, freeze Russian assets, as well as stop Russians from using golden passports. And also, the European Commission this week shelved plans to ban the EU shipping industry from carrying Russian oil, following protests by Malta and Greece, the two largest EU flag states. So we're definitely not agreeing on this at some point or another. Now, staying on the topic of war, an undetonated bomb from the Second World War was found at a construction site in Ta'ali. The bomb disposal unit was on site to defuse the unexploded bomb after workers unearthed it close to the craft village in Ta'ali. Thankfully, this was not a cause for alarm.
No, this is, I'm not surprised. If you know anything about Malta in World War II, we were one of the most bombed countries, islands in the entire world, if not the most bombed. So I'm actually not surprised that we found this. Thankfully, no one was hurt on this. And it's good to see that, authorities defuse it immediately. Moving on to the final story for today. If you're not aware, tonight is the Eurovision semi-finals, where Malta's Eurovision hope Emma Muscat will be taken to the stage with her track, I Am What I Am, to hopefully be voted in by Europe to the finals this Saturday. Ahead of that, though, a TV presenter and the mayor of Kalkara, Wayne Aquilina, took to social media to kind of speak to society, urging them to unite nationally to support Emma Muscat, regardless of what you think of the song. He even went on to say, quote, if Malta qualifies for the final, we will still manage to find something to complain about. And if we don't qualify, then we'll try and stop the tongues of those experts who start bringing up everything. So obviously, Wayne Aquilina is making it very clear he believes that regardless of what you make of Emma Muscat or the track, you should be supporting her just to support Malta, And this is something you kind of see a lot in Malta. Now, I don't know if it's too parochial, maybe it's a bit of a traditional view of Malta, like whatever's Maltese is immediately good. But definitely support Emma Muscat if you like the track. But listen, if you like another track from another country, feel free to support them as well.
Yeah, so for those that are going to be watching the semi-final tonight, Emma Muscat will be the 6th act to perform and will hope to finish in the top 10 and qualify for Sunday's final. As it stands, bookmakers expect Malta to finish in 11th place, narrowly behind Cyprus, but of course everything is still up in the air because it has not happened yet. That's all for today from myself and Johnathan. Have an evening full of lovin'.